Hey, it's Jeff Walker, and in my last video, I did a really quick and dirty interview with John Gallagher. John Gallagher was the subject of my famous case study that I did a few years ago that was food stamps to six figures, about how John, his family was on food stamps. He did a series of product launches and quickly built a six-figure business, and it didn't stop there. He's rocking it out from there. And like I said, it was a very quick and dirty video. My wife and I just happened to be in the Seattle area. John lives in Port Townsend outside of Seattle. And he had just bought a new home. So we just stopped by, and we actually stayed out in his guest house. And I mean, just think about how amazing that is. This is the guy who was on food stamps, and I'm staying in his guest house of his new home. So I wish I had a guest house, right? So in any case, it was an emotional visit for me because, I've gotten to know John over the years. He first purchased Product Launch Formula back in 2007 and, did his first launch. He sells, his market is the edible and medicinal plants and herbs. So like going out in your backyard and picking some stinging nettle and turning it into an extract and drinking it every day to improve your health. So that's his market. John had a board game that he had created along with his wife, and that's what he did that first launch, and he hasn't looked back from there. But that was back in 2007 when he first got Product Launch Formula. Yeah, it was 2007. And I've gotten to know John over the years. He's come out to my live events. He actually joined my Platinum program. So I've gotten to know him pretty well. But I've never, been out to his house, never met his wife, never met his kids. And so to visit John and know the impact that, my training had made on his family was pretty amazing. But he's just had such a sweet family. And my wife and I are headed out the door, about to head to the airport. And it's like, we should shoot a video while we're here. So we set up the camera and like we were already late for the plane, shot the video, boom, we're out the door. Not the greatest looking video, but if you go check it out, John, as always, brings so much heart to everything he does. And we got a lot of comments on the blog. And, one of the comments was from Gail. And she said, Jeff, you asked John about the mind shift, but he didn't really talk about the shift. He talked about the mindset that he's in now. What was a trigger to make the shift? Besides the kids, because he could still want to take care of the kids and not make the shift. So what was the basis of that mindset shift? And then Gail also asked, I'd love to know the sequence of steps in his business that he took and the point of the shift. I'm assuming he did your product launch, but he didn't exactly say that either. So the funny thing is John, I can't speak for him, but I can speak for myself and what I know of John, because we lived a strangely parallel life. John is like Jeff 10 years removed, because I was struggling. My family, we were never on food stamps. It never got to that point, but we were very much struggling. I needed a change in my life. And, I did that first launch. I figured it out on my own, and there's a whole backstory to that, how I accidentally backed into doing these launches and invented the Product Launch Formula. That's a whole another weird story for another day. But, did that first launch, and for me, my first launch was $1,650. And the shift right there was like, holy cow, someone will actually pay me for something. Because I had never sold a thing in my life, and I didn't think I was capable of selling anything. But getting that first offer out there, that changes the game. When you get that first offer out there, you are now in the game. That's what the game is all about. The game is starting your business and achieving freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, and control. Freedom and control over your destiny. And if that's the game, then getting your first offer out there is what puts you in the game. So $1,650, depending on where you are, that was my first launch. Depending on where you are, that either sounds like an amazing sum of money, or maybe it sounds like, why even bother? And the thing is like for me, it was a big amount of money then. It wasn't enough money where, it was going to completely support my family, obviously. I had a couple small kids and a wife. My wife was actually working to support the family. I was home. I was Mr. Mom. I was the primary care provider taking care of the kids. And I wanted to bring my wife home. I wanted to be the one supporting the family. And that first launch put me in the game. And when I did that first launch, I was like, holy cow, I did one, $650. That was really cool. And I could do this again and again and again. And maybe I'll even get better over time. And that's exactly what happened. You know, my next launch did 6,000 and then 8,000, and it stepped up from there, and it kept on getting better and better. And then, you know, this is all in 96 and 97. Lo and behold, in 2005, I'm teaching people, and all of a sudden I'm a marketing guru, right? Because I'm teaching people how to do these launches. But the mind shift was, someone's going to pay me. I can keep on getting better at this. And then there's a 1,000 other mind shifts, but it was like getting to motion. It was like taking that first baby step. I love to talk about taking baby steps. That first baby step for me was publishing. And then once I started publishing it, once I started to build a list and started to grow this following, then it was to put that offer out. It was to put a product out. It was to do that first launch. John was very much the same way. You know, he did that first launch. He had a small newsletter list. He tried to roll out his board game. It didn't work. He sold 12 of them the first time, stepped back, got product launch formula, went through the training, didn't worry about it being perfect. He didn't go through the entire training. He only went through part of the training. But he drew out a plan, and then he just he enabled that plan. He took action. He took baby steps and started to move forward. When he did do the launch, instead of the first time it was 12 games, he went out the second time to the exact same list that he had. It was a small list, a small newsletter list, and that time he sold. It was like almost 700 games. I was thinking it was like 670. So it was like 12 games to 670 games. And that was the catalyst. You know, that was like a launch that did almost $20,000 for him. And that was the catalyst. So then he started putting out more offers and doing more launches. Eventually he launched a membership site. You know, it didn't cost much. I think it's like $10 or $12 or $15 a month. But the first time he rolled that out, he put a few hundred people in, and then he put a few hundred more. Now he's got thousands of people in that website paying him every single month. Then he started rolling out more products. He started doing products with other experts and bringing other experts to the market. So, you know, the thing is, he didn't have any of that planned out when he started. And I didn't know I was going to be teaching marketing. I was in a completely different market. I was in a completely different niche. So you don't know what the end game is. But you're never going to get it to that end game or even explore any possibilities unless you start moving. So, you know, that's a bit on the mindset, a bit on the path. No one ever knows what the end game is. No one, when they're starting a business, they don't know what's going to be the big profit center, where that business is going to go. No business does. You look at where Apple is right now, and they are a long way from where they started out. It's just light years how far they've transitioned. So it is all about getting in the game and getting your first offer out there. So if you enjoyed this video, if you watched it anywhere besides on my blog at jeffwalker.com, go ahead and type that in your browser, go to jeffwalker.com, join my email list there so I can send you more updates when I put out more videos. We're publishing a video here every weekend. And all the discussion is taking place there on that blog. If you can scroll down, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to get your reaction. I know a lot of people watching this, you've taken that first step and you've built a great business. We've got a great following of incredible entrepreneurs, and I'd love to hear your story of your first step. And if you haven't made that first step, I want to hear from you as well. When are you going to make that first step? When are you going to get in the game? When are you going to make that first offer? So scroll down, leave a comment, hit that Facebook like button, and let's go get them this week.